King Shakespeare's tragedies with me, so I don't lose my fine sensibilities in the jungle. So he's a joker and also a nerd. So yeah, I'd during Sunday lunches, I'd disappear down the corridor and start looking at the books.
How many books does he have? Did you ever count 1,000, 2,000, 3,000? More?
Maybe more.
Tens of thousands.
Tens of
volumes,
thousands.
probably.
Yeah.
But sometimes the same copy, multiple copies. If he really likes something, you get multiple and
Right.
just share it. But the thing that was funny is for a time he also made me, fill out like a library card to.
So all those books have library cards.
Not all.
not all.
I think the strictness kind of started to go lax after a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and that book that you borrowed was American Caesar.
Yes, but that is the favorite book of mine that I've borrowed.
Okay.
I have a Churchill biography that I haven't gotten around to reading, but this is the last thing I borrowed from him.
So there was a library card. So meron bang may ini-stamp ba ng due date, ganon? Wala naman. It's just like
Signature niya, red pen.
okay. And who borrowed it?
Yeah.
Okay. Was there a fine if you didn't return it?
I never made the mistake of finding
Okay,
out.
but you did return American Caesar.
I bought my own copy. Actually. Yes, I had to get my own copy later.
Okay, CJ and Patrick, what about you guys?
So for me, I think it was more on the I was very inclined to sports.
Oh, okay.
Probably it
So was your lolo.
yeah, so was Lolo. So maybe it was his influence that I also love to play golf. So as I mentioned in my eulogy for him, that's where we became close because he kept inviting me to join him.
Talaga?
Yeah.
Who's the better golfer between the two of you? Ikaw.
Me, yeah. Sorry, Lolo. But
Bakit? Mas mababa handicap mo?
Yeah.
Talaga?
But I
but
think
it was
it was
okay
because
with
of him.
okay. It was okay with him that you beat him.
Yes, yes. And then, aside from golf, I think one of the things that I learned from him that I try to apply in my everyday life is he respected everyone. He gave the same level of respect to everyone, whether they're the president or, just a random person on the street.
Kahit sa rehento pa yan. Kahit
Correct.
private.
Yeah, so ganun.
Patrick.
Andaya ako. I think mine is probably a combination of both. Because I guess first is the unconsciously I was able to pick up his habit of the love for reading. And particularly yung side notes on the
Marginal notes. Yeah, good you brought that up.
marginal notes and dog ears.
Okay.
Pages.
So you do marginal notes in red also? Or?
Ano, I put pencil. I use
Pencil?
pencil kasi
Okay.
sometimes yun nga, parang I'm not like Lolo. I sometimes erase my
Okay.
So,
And among the other apos kayo, do you also do marginal notes just like him? He's famous for that.
I do dog ears.
Dog ears.
I highlight. Yeah.
I do also.
Marginal notes. All right. And your siblings, your other cousins?
not that I know of.
Ano yun? Pagka-OC niya?
I think it's more of really he's engaging with the book and parang his reflections on how I guess for example for me if I like a page or I had an insight from a paragraph I write it down and from the books that I borrowed from him same thing.
Which one of you, the three of you or your siblings and other cousins is as cool as a cucumber? Because Manny Mogato, long-time defense and Malacanang reporter who covered your lolo for so long now, has this really nice cuento. They flew into Catarman, northern Samar, on a Fokker, and they overshot the runway, so it burst into flames. And your lolo had everybody exit the aircraft. He was the last one out, made sure everybody's safe, and then when he saw everyone safe, he goes, "Okay, let's get back to work." Who's like that?
Parang wala.
Wala, why?
Wala pa. I don't know.
I think I'm pretty good in a crisis. I've not been in anything as dramatic, mind
Yeah.
you, but part of the nature of our work, we do, crisis management. So there is that element, or even this week, there's been a lot of stuff to do.
Crazy week.
I think we've all got a little bit of this instinct of, when you have to do your
keep
duty,
going.
no matter what it is.
Yeah.
Nothing will faze you.
I wouldn't say that, but
Oh,
in
some things,
the moment where there's a job to be done, you kind of put everything else aside.
Yeah, well, Colonel Dencio Acop describes him as a crisis leader. He performs best when in the middle of a crisis. And, very mindful and very focused, right?
Yeah.
And I guess that's something that you all took after?
We hope.
We
You
hope.
hope. Okay.
Trying.
So who among you skydives?
No,
One.
Scuba dives?
I scuba.
Sam?
Yeah.
I mean, apart from the golf, huh?
Yeah.
And you're the better golfer, sabi mo. Does push-ups? Who does push-ups?
Yeah, we all
All
do.
of us.
You all do.
You want to say when you found out
Which one?
that you started doing push-ups?
How old were you
Oh
then?
yeah.
Oh,
So growing up, like Lolo always asked us to do push-ups, like randomly. Yeah.
no, at like 3 years old, for ganon? That young?
Yes, even.
Really?
Yeah. So while we were wearing the fatigues a while ago,
Yeah.
I remember us doing
Yep.
push-ups per.
Talaga?
Yeah, he was asking us. So actually, the moment I found out that he passed, I actually did push-ups.
Really? Oh, that was your instinct, huh?
Yeah, for him.
How many push-ups did you do? The
I
moment
don't
you found
remember.
out?
I just kept.
Talaga, you just kept going on and on. You lost count?
Yeah.
I bet you ended up crying.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you know, your lolo, ang sabi ko nga eh, it's not what does he do, but what can he not do. It's like he did everything.
You would
Is that how
try.
you,
Yeah.
is that how you saw him, you guys?
Yes, definitely. Actually, no, I don't know. Well, I was gonna say then, like, probably he couldn't speak other languages, but he's really good in Ilocano and Pangalatok.
Yeah.
And, yun. So, I don't know now.
He enjoyed music a lot, but he wasn't very good
Correct.
himself. So
Enjoyed music, like listening.
Yeah, so
but
it's
he had, yeah.
it's a good thing that Lola is very musically talented, and we have other
She passed it on to her cousins.
Yeah, so he'd bug her at family lunch, like get on the piano or something.
Even in the arts, I thought, because I have interest in the arts, and I thought, that's something na si Lolo wala. But apparently, like, when in his younger years, he was also an avid photographer. And I remember, I think one of the notes that I read from the late wife of Congressman Belmonte, si Mrs.
Betty Go Belmonte.
Parang, she had a note for Lolo saying that, I think this was, he was comparing Lolo with Jaime Zubelde Ayala in terms of their photography. Parang, like, actually, Eddie, parang mas magaling ka pa dyan. In a joking manner, of course. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
Photography is like painting a picture also.
Yes. So, I was like, oo nga pala. Wala, talo na naman ako ni Lolo.
More from FDR's grandsons, Sam Ramos Jones, EJ Brown, and Patrick Velasco. When we return, this is a special edition of Politics as Usual. You're watching a special episode of Politics as Usual. I'm Pia Ontiveros. We are on our last final stretch. Still with us, Sam Ramos Jones, CJ Sembrano, and Patrick Velasco. I was going to ask you to describe your lolo in stories and vignettes, no, because kunyari, and a while ago during the break you were saying something, so of course people say he's mabait, he's strict, he thinks about his men, but give us specific stories, real examples about that. CJ.
So actually, like what I said earlier, that he treats everyone with the same level of respect. Diba? I've encountered this numerous of times kasi he's the type of person na ayaw niyang mas special treatment mo siya. So unlike certain travels or conferences I've attended with him, he always want to be with the people. Like engaging with them, taking photos. He never shied away from them. Parang dun siya nag-e-enjoy. It's actually the opposite, diba? So, I think those are one of the things that I truly admire about him.
Yung gusto niya malapit siya sa tao.
Approachable.
Very approachable. There's this story that he visited like 70 provinces and we have like 81 plus, 80 plus, no? I understand what you grandchildren want to do, and I don't know, at what stage you are, but there's a story that's come out that you want to keep his that you're on a mission to keep his legacy alive, no? And that's why there was that release. I remember the FVR legacy, like a few days into the wake. What exactly are you going to do? What exactly do you plan? Is there something concrete, Sam?
Yeah, so the FER Legacy project has been underway for some time. It's basically a digital presidential library. It was slated to launch December of this year, so we're sad that he wasn't able to make it, to see it. But we did have a kind of pre-launch preview event some months ago, which he did watch and was pleased by. But I think aside from that, you know, the other thing that's come out just over the last week with people that attended the wake is that a lot of the things that he was able to implement at that time, some of the policies and also the work ethic, you know, a lot of that is still relevant today. Maybe is even more relevant. So I think there's, you know, there's going to be a lot of opportunities in the months and years to come to, because he was also just so prolific, right? So we just have tons of papers to get around. So not sure exactly what that's all going to look like in the end, but you know, with a life as full of that, I'm very confident. You know, he was here 94 years, but his contributions are going to keep going for decades to come.
The FVR Legacy Project launching in December. We look forward to that. Legacy din ba niya yung mga corny jokes niya?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
How corny was he ba? I mean, really bad? As in, naman, parang ganon.
You know, comedians, how they, you know, they test the material before they go on stage. We were the test audience.
Oh, you were the guinea pigs.
Always,
Okay, o
yeah.
sige, sample ng pinaka-corny.
Si
No.
Lolo eh.
He's
I think yung signature niya was always, usually towards after his presidency, yung eyeglasses niya na walang lens.
Yung gaganon siya.
Yeah. So,
CJ,
oo nga.
Oo.
sample, like
Paano
that.
wala yung
Yung akin hindi butas eh.
Okay. Did he play pranks also or just jokes lang?
Joke
lang naman.
I don't think he was a prankster.
Okay. So corny jokes lang. Okay. My final question, words of wisdom from Lolo Eddie. When or if you told him what you want to be when you grow up, or you know, the professional career you would like to pursue, you know, not just for the three of you, but for your siblings and other cousins, did you go to him and then, you know, what did he tell you? Patrick, you first.
I think for me, well, one question that I asked him before was, and I mentioned this again in my eulogy, was that, Lolo, how did you surmount the most difficult situations you've been in? Because surely you've been through a lot. And yun nga, like what you mentioned earlier, na he's as cool as a cucumber. And he just pointed to his heart and he said, always do the right thing. And then he also mentioned the cadet's prayer that he learned in West Point, which was, I think a line there was to choose the harder right than the easier wrong. And I think that's something we can definitely see throughout his life, throughout all of the decisions he's made. He always tried to do what's right, most especially yung win-win situation or win-win solution. And I guess in addition to that, he always emphasized yung teamwork. He always told us na always take care of your men, always make sure they're well fed. And I think that's one way of him saying na I can't do this alone.
Right.
Na like back then, like his vision of Philippines 2000, he very well knew that he needs the help of every single Filipino to push for this agenda, to accomplish this goal. And he, ever since, like he would always tell us na teamwork.
CJ?
Yeah, for me naman, when I approached him, he'd always tell us to never stop learning. Like, keep innovating yourself and never stop learning, because there will never be a point in time na you've learned enough, diba? And then, actually, the next one, I learned after he passed. Because while we were in his wake every day, so many people approached us, telling us how Lolo helped them. So I think, tapos yung mga taong to, they're from different walks of life. So merong mga statesmen, may mga government officials, military men, and even like civilians. So knowing that he helped that many people gives me inspiration to do it also, diba? Kahit 1% lang nung natulungan niya, If we can replicate that, parang we would make a big difference.
Sam?
Yeah, I'm along similar lines. I mean, he was in many ways a very serious person of serious stature, but he never took anything too seriously. He was always joking around, always trying to find kind of common ground with anyone, and whoever he was speaking to or spending time with, was open and warm with them, and that's certainly something that a lot of the people that came to visit mentioned, and it was very touching.
When someone passes, you don't just remember him. It's like parang you sometimes you can't imagine. Parang I'm going to go through life without him or her, no. So when you think of that, and then you think of your Lolo Eddie having just passed away, what are your thoughts, no? And I suppose sometimes you talk to him, no, in your thoughts, in your mind, in your brain. What do you tell him? And ito na yung final word. Sam, you first.
Well, I guess we have the benefit of, he was a prolific writer himself. So sometimes that's a one-way conversation where I get to pick his brain. But yeah, in doing that, I kind of just try to put myself in the mindset of, what would Lolo do in this situation, which typically boils down to, as Patrick said, choosing, the right,
The hard right.
hard way of doing things over the easy way.
The hard right rather than the easy wrong. Patrick.
Ako, I'd tell Lolo na, Lolo, I hope I can carry on your immense love for the Philippines and for the Filipino people. Kasi I like to tell my friends that I've never met someone who loves the Philippines so much as Lolo. Kasi like, siguro 24/7, he just keeps talking about whoever he talks about. Parang a love letter to the Philippines. And I joke nga nung the past few days na siguro the only rival ni Lola sa love ni Lolo is the Philippines.
Okay. CJ?
So I'm same with them, no? Like whatever Lolo did, I hope we can emulate. So I just always ask him, sana he can, now that he's gone na, I hope he can pass on to us and guide us to be like him, diba? So hopefully we can all apply that to our daily lives.
Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Sam Ramos-Jones, thank you. Patrick Halasco, thank you. And CJ Zambrano, FBR Liit. Lolo, Eddie Liit. Eddie Ramos Liit. Thank you so much for being with us. This has been a Politics as Usual special presentation honoring the memory of former President Fidel Valdez Ramos, FVR. Looking at him through his grandson's eyes. I'm Pio Ontfer. See you back here next Wednesday, 8 p.m.
Let's get ready to rumble!